Why is it so important for us to stop comparing ourselves to others?
This is, I think, one of the most important things. When we compare ourselves to others, means that I don't have my own goals or some real good objectives in my life. And that's when, a person who has nothing to stand for will fall for anything. So if you do not have your own defined goals with a strong why I want them, you will fall for anybody's goals. You see somebody doing well, oh, maybe I should do this. Maybe this will work for me also. Then you see somebody else. I know so many people like this, who go from one thing to another, getting impressed by everybody. I'm not saying that don't look at others and take inspiration from them. Do that. But don't make their goals your goals. You should have your own goals and your reasons for those goals. And once you do that, then you don't need to compare yourself with anybody. The only thing that we do is I compare myself is to myself. Am I better than myself today than I was yesterday? So this is my objective, my goal, that I need to improve, I need to become better as compared to myself. Because otherwise I'll be in a rat race. I mean, how does it kind of help me if I have become better than my neighbor or my cousin or my this? How does that help? There is no standard of that too. Like there is a person who's stealing from others, and I start comparing myself to that person. Of course I'll look better than that person. Or if I start comparing to some spiritual saint, I'll look like nothing. And then I'm not kind of looking at what I really need. What are my objectives? What have I come on this earth as a human being to achieve? Once I start exploring my own self, start like me not only looking at my material goals, of course we must have the material goals, but what are my higher goals? As you asked this question before, that knowing yourself, right? If I know myself, what is my inner self asking me to achieve? And that becomes very significant part of my growth, my spiritual growth, along with my material growth. Because if you look at the most basic fundamental property of a human being, that energy, that push, is to expand. When, say, for example, you were born, you were little, and then you ate, and then you grew, and then that growth was not enough. You wanted to expand. You went to school to expand your mind, to learn more. And then once you have kind of done that, you grow up. So this is not enough. I want to expand more. Then you get married. It's my expansion of myself, my existence. Then I have children. Again, I'm expanding. Then I say, this is where I have seen so much. Let me go travel the world and see and expand my horizons. And then that's not enough. The mankind says, I want to go to the moon. I want to go to the Mars. But not understanding that there is this constant push from my inner self to expand, and it'll not stop till you have become infinite. And that's what we call self-realization.
Why is being present so important?
Present is the only eternal truth. Okay, let's do the small exercise. Can you tell me in your mind how you feel it, right? Don't think too much about it. Your vision, how big is the present?
That's difficult to answer. It's like
Just take a guess. I mean, whatever comes to your mind. I don't want you to think too much about it. What is your first thought that comes out of it?
It seems like a speck in time.
Speck in time. And what is it making it a speck? Like, if we see that this is my present, right? There's a vast past behind it, a vast future in front of it, and there is this small, tiny now in between, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's what it seems like.
Yeah. So now, for a moment, try stepping out of the now and go into the past, to any event. So even yesterday, that happened. And I'm not saying thinking about it. I'm saying actually step out of the now and go into that event of yesterday. Can you do it?
It's impossible.
It's impossible, right? So, the proof of something that exists is the experience, right? Now, if you cannot step out of the now and go into the past and experience an event in the past, that means it probably doesn't exist. Is that true or not?
Yeah, that's common sense, yeah.
Yeah. And now do the same thing, go into the future.
Yeah, it's like it's not there.
Yes, you cannot do that because it doesn't exist. If you cannot go and experience the future, that means it doesn't exist. Now you remove these two big chunks of past and future. Now how big is the now?
It's literally everything there is.
Eternal, no beginning, no end. So this is the reality, that this is the now. And my consciousness, as I did in my first video, I am telling this whole wisdom, the truth to your consciousness, right? But it's possible that your mind still doesn't want to believe it. Because my consciousness knows the truth. But what my mind does, and it's only purely for a sense of survival, that it puts its own reflection on the truth. Say when you go out in the sun in winters, right, say skiing. You put on, say, purple skiing glasses. And when you look at the snow, it looks purple. Everything looks purple. But a few minutes later, you get used to it. You forget that you're wearing sunglasses and you start accepting the fact that everything around is purple. Whereas you know it's not purple. Similarly, you can say my mind are the sunglasses of my consciousness. They make this world look with its own constraints, whereas my consciousness knows the truth. So the truth is, the only thing that's eternal and real is the now. There is no past. There is no future. And if this is the case, why am I worried about what happened in the past? And why should I be afraid of the future? Once I understand this wisdom and it reaches my consciousness, and then I build upon it through my daily practice, then I start seeing the truth through my consciousness and start witnessing the world the way it is, not through the constraints of my mind.
Is any level of guilt healthy in any way? Is there any way to be healthily guilty, for instance? Or is guilt just bad altogether?
There is no place of any guilt. In fact, not just guilt, right? What is guilt? Like we associate positive energies and negative energies, right? So anything that is associated commonly with a negative energy is not good for you. So a small guilt versus a big guilt or guilt about money, guilt about food, and asking wondering if one is better or worse than the other. No, it's not. They're all the same. So it is better not to have in fact, we do a lot of work to remove those guilts. Because guilts are coming from the mistakes that we have made in the past. Where else is the guilt going to come from? And again, as I said, if we have made them in ignorance and darkness, it's time that now that the light is shining, there is illumination, it's time to let them go.
Sometimes I feel this deep sense of hopelessness when in the face of adversity or challenge. How can we overcome this feeling of hopelessness, and why do these feelings emerge?
Hopelessness, fear, they all always rise up from one single factor, that the uncertainty. That sometimes people feel hopeless even when the things are going good. So it is about the uncertainty of the future. It's a similar fear that people have from darkness. They're scared to go into the dark. Why? Because they don't know what's ahead of them. Similarly, hopelessness also stems from that once there's an uncertainty about what's going to happen in my future, and that uncertainty is usually because of our own belief systems, once again, is always linked to negative outcomes. It's not that I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. How many people would do that without training or practice, that I don't know what's coming tomorrow, and then think, oh, it'll be awesome? No. Uncertainty, hopelessness, they're all from the fear of what future is bringing to me. And from my belief systems, it's always in their mind a negative outcome. So now, when you're feeling that, then you get that freezing in the moment, that I don't want to stand up and do anything about it because nothing good is going to happen even if I do. So that is again stemming from these two factors, that my belief systems that I built over a period of time. And as we grow up, they're becoming stronger and stronger and more in number. And again, when a challenge comes, a situation comes where I find that I don't know what's going to happen, what is going to be the outcome, and my mind builds up that a negative outcome is definitely going to come. So what is happening is that when I think that way, because my mind is the creator, and even if there was not going to be a bad outcome, with my energy, I will create a bad outcome. And then what is going to do? It's in turn going to strengthen this belief system that only bad things will happen to me. And when I say, when you follow Brhamanda Yoga, you start using the tools. We say only good things happen to people who follow this path.
How can I be more confident in social situations?
It is my belief systems that I'm carrying within myself. Lack of confidence. Again, why is a lack of confidence? Because what is a belief system in the first place? A belief system is where I experience something once, and then I experience the same thing a few more times. Then it settles in my mind as a belief system. That if, say, in case I was in a social situation once and I felt that I didn't do a good job, and then I did it a couple more times, now I have a belief system that every time I'll be out in a social situation, I'll be failure. So unless and until you remove those wrong belief systems and then get to see that you are the most powerful being in this entire existence, and that you can achieve whatever you want to achieve in your life. You want to be you can be successful in every part, every area of your life, then you will start bringing in this transformation, this change. Because if you keep on living with the same belief system without removing it, then you will continue behaving in the same manner again and again and again, and this belief system of failure will keep on getting more and more strength. So once we remove these belief systems, the negative old belief system that we are carrying, which are acting like an obstruction in my life, then we replace them with positive belief systems. Because removing the belief systems alone sometimes is not enough, or maybe temporary. Say, for example, I have lawn in my house, and there are weeds outside in the lawn. Nobody has ever done any effort to plant the weeds. They just grow up. But if I want a nice garden, I have to remove those weeds once. And if I do once, and if I leave it alone, this garden, the weeds will come back up again. What I need to do is, once I remove the weeds, I start planting flowers. And then there'll be lesser and lesser weeds coming, and I keep working constantly. Whatever few come in, I remove them on a daily basis. And eventually I'll have a beautiful garden. But once again, once I have a beautiful garden, that's not the end of it. If I leave a beautiful garden just like that, the weeds will come back up again. So that's why I said this is a constant work. Because there is only one thing that is constant in this universe, and that is change. And if I let the change happen just by on its own, it's usually downwards. It's negative.
Why is forgiveness important, not just for others, but ourselves?
In fact, it's more important for your own self. That, say for example, somebody did bad to me, and I hold this grudge against this person. And whenever I think about that incident or that person, I get that negative feeling. It's like, not forgiving is like drinking a slow poison every day and hoping that the other person will die. He doesn't even know what you're thinking about him. If he did something, he has probably forgotten about it. He is not even seeking your forgiveness. So if you are forgiving that person, you're not doing any favor to that person. You're doing more of a favor to yourself. That I don't need this poison in my life. That's why it is so important. But the challenge here is that where people struggle when they try to forgive is that it is very difficult to forgive somebody else before you've forgiven yourself. Most people have not forgiven themselves because deep inside, everybody knows what they've done in their life. And they feel that guilt. And they hold that grudge against their own selves. And so the process begins with forgiving ourselves first. If I am able to forgive myself first, to tell myself that the mistakes that I made in the past, they were done in ignorance. They were done in darkness, as they would say. But now that I have this wisdom that I gained from Brhamanda Yoga, then it's not the time to feel guilty. It's about being grateful that I have the wisdom now. And now onwards, I'll be living my life knowingly. But before I do that, I have to forgive myself for all the mistakes that I made in the past, unknowingly in the darkness. And now there is light in my life. And using this light, this wisdom, plus the tools of Brhamanda Yoga, I'm able to forgive myself. And then I can move on to forgive others. And that simply makes our life very, very peaceful.
How can I cultivate a mindset of non-judgmentalness?
It is a process that you have to follow for this. First, to understand what is non-judgmental, right? Non-judgmental is that I am not an expert on everything. I am not superior to others. That everything I have to judge right or wrong. And when do I judge things, right? I judge things when I get involved in a certain situation with certain people. That's when I start judging. But if I develop a mindset of being a witness, I just witness everything. I don't jump into every event that I see happening in front of me. It's like witnessing a movie, right? You just watch. You're not jumping into the movie and becoming a part of it. If you just start practicing this in your daily life, and make a determination, it's going to take some effort, right? But you have to start somewhere. You make a determination that I will learn how to witness things. And another thing that comes very useful, again, as I say in my different videos, is that I introduced in my very first video, if you go back and watch it, that if you want to bring these changes in your life and your mindset and your behavior, it is going to take an effort. You have to pay the price. Yes, by being aware that how I am looking and witnessing the things is one thing. Other thing is doing that practice, bringing this practice that I teach of different tools, of different pranakriyas and meditations help you achieve that easily. So if you try to do it without the support of your daily practice, which we call sadhana, means straightening, mastering yourself, it'll take longer. But when done with the help of the sadhana, your daily practice, it becomes relatively easier. And again, as I say, when you try to do something new, like say when you first learned how to ride a bike, right? It's not that you just got on the bike and started pedaling away, right? So you had to kind of do a practice. When you learned how to drive a car, similar, you were looking, where is my gas pedal, where is my brake, where is my gear, and, but now you don't even think about those things. It becomes natural. So to do this, again, you have to practice this whole process, getting the assistance of your daily sadhana with it. It's very much possible to do it.
Why is it that it's so difficult for me to accept myself fully?
That's a good question. I would give another analogy to help you understand this. I will ask you in return a question. Why do people find it difficult to sit for 30 minutes or an hour just alone, doing nothing? The answer to both the questions is the same. That, say for example, I put you in an empty room with a stranger you have never met before, and you're both not talking. Within minutes, you'll both start feeling very awkward, uncomfortable, because you are facing a stranger you've never seen before. You don't know what this person is like, right? And this is what happens, whether it's accepting myself or facing myself when I'm sitting alone, is that I don't know my real self. I have not even asked myself who I am. Have I asked myself, am I this physical body? Am I the mind? Or I'm something beyond that? And once I start asking these questions, then I start to try, if I try to connect to my inner self, I refuse to accept myself because I don't know this person, the real self within me. Here is this, my mind perceiving me as who I perceive myself on a daily basis. But here is the real me within me. And it's not easy to accept it. And because I don't know this person, the real me. And within me, I also know from my memory what mistakes I have committed. And as we age, as we grow up more and more, there are more and more of those events and memories where the things that I've done wrong has accumulated a sense of guilt within me, a sense of that not liking myself that I did this in my life. And all these things put together doesn't allow me to accept who I am.
So how can one release these things that hold them back from accepting themselves fully?
So the only way to release this, through again bringing the discipline and doing these processes, as we say, the practicing the tools of Brhamanda Yoga, of Pran Kriyas, meditations, which help all these collected memories in different planes of my existence, whether it's in my mind or it's in my subconscious mind or my different bodies that I have, or the chakras where I'm storing, and all these negative memories, belief systems. This regular practice of Pran Kriyas and meditations help slowly, one by one, bring these memories to the surface to be released. So the only way to do this is bringing that discipline, as I keep saying all the time, there's no free lunch. If you want to have a better life, a healthy, happy, successful, fulfilling life, you have to pay the price of bringing a discipline. And as I said, once you bring a discipline in your life, the discipline will make your life.
It's so easy sometimes for us to feel like just giving up, especially when taking on a new venture in life, something new. Then why is it important for us to be resilient in the face of challenges as such?
Because this is the only way for evolution, for transformation. There's no other way. And I keep on repeating myself ad nauseum that if you try to do it with your own strength, with your own willpower, you may not be able to have as much of a success. But when you bring in these ancient tools of Pran Kriyas, of meditations, and the mantras, they all start bringing in a big change within yourself, which will help you develop more resilience, more tenacity, determination, and set you walking to achieve your goals that you want to achieve in your life. So these are things which are absolutely essential, which are being seen less and less in today's world because of the stresses that are around, with all the forces and distractions that are happening around us. They're all leading to these challenges, particularly the younger generation today, right? They need it the most right now. It is only the resilience that will help us to keep going through adverse times, through challenges, and with a belief that they'll be able to overcome these challenges and find happiness and success in their life.
Why is it so difficult for us to establish discipline in our daily life? Why is it such a struggle, it seems, especially the older we grow?
We are used to living our life in a certain way. And when we are living our life that we are used to, we call it our comfort zone. And that's, somebody asked a very good question, that what is the most dangerous place to live in your life? And the answer is your comfort zone. Because you have no direction at that time. Whatever you have been living like, sure, you can do that. But then it's like committing a mistake of a wrong way of doing things again and again and expecting a different result every time. It's not going to happen. For getting a different, better result, you have to change your way. And for that, you have to bring in a discipline. And I admit it's not easy. Initially, you have to make a determination, pledge, as we call sankalpa, that for the next, say, 10 or 20 days, I will do it at this particular time, even if I find 30 minutes in the beginning, not a whole lot. And then when you start doing it, these daily practices will help you bring in that discipline that you're looking for. So, as we say, first you bring a discipline in your life, and this discipline will make your life. So I'll tell you something today which is very significant, that we talk about, as you say, oh, this has happened, that has happened. It's all ego, nothing else.
Yeah.
It's our ego that gets hurt, and then we suffer. And that's why I put so much emphasis on letting go of our ego. And we can do it consciously. So there is this incident, a real incident, a true story. Long time ago, there was a saint, very famous one, called Gurjeet. And how it all started was, he was a young boy, and his grandmother was on deathbed. So he went to her and said, please give me some wisdom, some advice, something that you learned through your life and that you can pass on, that can significantly help me in my life. So she said, well, if there is one thing that I can give you, which is significant and can help you and become a different person, is that now, from today onwards, whatever you do in your life, do it differently than how other people do it. If you are able to do this one single thing in your life, it will change your life. So the little boy did not understand at that time what it means. And the grandmother said further that, after today I will not be around to see whether you follow this or not, but I want to see at least one example that if you understood, or you're going to do it the way I told you. Do anything in a different manner than other people do. So she looked around, and there was an apple lying on the table. She just pick that up and eat it. But eat it differently than how other people do it. So this little boy was confused, but he was willing to try. And children are innovative, creative. As we grow old, our creativity becomes less and less, and a big part of that, killing that creativity of the children, is the parents, unfortunately. So this boy took this apple. First he put it to his ear, trying to listen to the apple. Then he brought it very close to his eyes and looked it very closely. Then he smelled it. Then he touched it to his heart. And then he stood up with it and danced in that room. And then happily sat down back on his chair and took a bite and ate the apple. The grandmother saw that and said, I'm very happy. I see that you have completely understood my message and that you will follow it in your life. And from there onwards, this one thing transformed this little boy. And as he grew up, he took that message to his heart, and everything he did differently than other people. So he became known as a weird person, that he's doing weird things, like the people don't understand why he's doing this. But he was happy. And in the whole process, when people were criticizing him, he started ignoring them. just focusing on what he is doing and not worried about other people. And one big thing this message carried, like the wisdom that it carried, was that it started killing the ego. Our ego is only when you appreciate me, say for example, you fulfilling my ego, I respond back and I say, great job, Ali, and then you're also good, I feed back your ego. And this is our biggest obstruction, impediment in our life to grow. Or even live peacefully and happily every day. Whenever my ego is not fulfilled, I am hurt. But if I did not have an ego, all these problems would not be there in my life. So what happened in Gurujit's case was that his ego started going away. Because he never got any appreciation from anybody. And because it was only criticism. And he started ignoring the people also, their reactions. So basically his ego was all gone. And as he kind of grew up, this one single thing made him into a different person, and since he was spiritually inclined, he became to be a great saint and a known one for that. And when he grew up, he had a lot of followers, disciples. And one day he took 30 of his disciples in a remote, isolated area and said, I'm going to teach you something. All of you, 30 of you, will be here in this area for the next 3 months. But you have to live in a way as if nobody exists here except you. Other 29 people do not exist at all. You should not even be aware that even a person passes by you, that somebody has gone by. And if you, by mistake, step on somebody's feet, do not stop to apologize because there is nobody. Even if you drop burning coals on somebody, do not stop to apologize or say sorry because there is no one. Although we all wanted that to do in our life, not say sorry about anything. But this was a different situation. That they did not understand why. So there's some kind of a lesson in there. And says you have to live like this for next 3 months. And this was again the same exercise to take the ego away. Because if nobody is watching me, there's nobody around me, there's nobody to feed my ego. When you say you buy new clothes, you don't wear them at home when there is nobody and then put them back. You want to go out with them so people can see it and appreciate those clothes and feed your ego. But in an isolated, remote area, when you learn the ability to ignore 29 people as they did not even exist, is something that takes an effort and it doesn't feed your ego at all. Those disciples did not understand that this was the whole ultimate goal behind this. But what happened was within a week, out of those 30 people, 27 people left. They said that we felt suffocated, we felt that very uncomfortable, and because they did not understand that this discomfort and this feeling of weirdness is letting go of the ego, the process. And they could not handle it. They left. But the 3 of them who stayed at the end of 3 months became different people. Their ego gone and transformed. They learned how to live their life in a new and a different manner. So this is one thing that we work upon, as I said, through different methods, through meditations, through living our life consciously, to start noticing my reactions. If I do not have the ability, at least spend 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the end of the day to review my day, to review my reactions throughout the day. And at least at the end of the day to understand that where I was feeding my ego, or where my ego was being fed by others, and it was not how it hurt me. And then trying to change the next day. But on your own, it's very difficult to do. That's why we have these tools of Brhamanda Yoga, to help you do that through different tools of breathworks, meditations. Because if we are able to achieve this one single thing in our life, it can help transform our life in a very big way. And another lesson that, from this is that start doing everything the way nobody else does. And that nobody includes you. So, keep the lessons of life. That doesn't mean I ignore everything that I've learned. No, keep the lessons, the principles around. But using those same principles, be creative, be innovative. That I will do things differently now, and success will come. People around you may not understand this. In fact, you may not understand it at that very moment. But the idea is to learn this lesson and bring it in your life. You get up in the morning and say to yourself, today, if not everything, few important things that I'm going to do in my life, I will not do it the same way as I did before or anybody else does it. Then spend some time on yourself and think that these are the 2 or 3 things I will do differently, and then start and think and be creative. That how will I do it differently? And forget about the results. The results will come with persistence, resilience. Most results don't come in people's lives sooner or later because they give up very easily. If you do not kind of give up in between halfway, you will never know where the method that I adopted, the process I was taking, was right or wrong, because you give in halfway. So take it to the end and try to do the things differently and stop worrying about what people will say. The day you're able to achieve that, you have done at least half the job of killing your ego.
How can we stop being victims to what's going on in our life? And how does Brhamanda Yog help us do this?
Again, 2 parts of Brhamanda Yoga will always be there forever. Question you ask me, right? One is the right wisdom, and now the tools to apply this wisdom in my life. Because by gaining wisdom doesn't work. Say if my computer is broken, I do an extensive course. I learn everything about fixing a computer. Will it fix my computer? No. I'll have to take that learning, take the tools, apply it, and fix my computer. Then it'll work. Same thing, your question right now, a part of your question answers your question. Who is a victim? Victim is nothing else but an expression of my ego. My ego has been hurt. People have treated me differently than I expected them to treat. But if you were living like those 3 people or 30 people were asked to live, when they said that if you step on somebody's toes, don't stop to say sorry because there is no one. And same applies to you. Somebody steps on your toe, you don't focus on it because there is no, who can step on your toe when there is no one? If your ego has not been hurt, how would you feel a victim? Because you're paying too much attention, this exchange of ego fulfillment is happening, so much of it, that it expresses in different forms. But if I learn to live in a way, and that's what some of the gurus have said to their disciples. There was one instance where a saint, he had a disciple who was away from there, but then he was dying. And these saints, powerful, he appeared. He healed him and he got better. And the disciple was so grateful, he said, now this life is not mine anymore. It was going away. You gave it back to me, so it belongs to you. Now you guide me what to do in my life. And he said, from today onwards, you live this life, the remaining life that you have, as if you were dead. Means you say something bad to me, if I'm alive, I may respond. You say good things to me, I'm happy. You say bad things to me, I'm not. I'm upset, right? I'm upset. You see a dead body lying there. You say good things, that dead body is not going to stand up and start jumping in joy. You say 1,000 curse words or bad things to the dead body, there's no response. You may kick him. You may punch him. There's no response. And that's what this advice of the Guru for his disciple was, that from now onwards, live your life like you're dead.
To be successful in Brhamanda Yog, if you could tell me 3 things that are super important.
So the first is to understand that the founding principles of Brhamanda Yoga are the principles of this life, principles of this universe. And they exist equally upon everybody, whether someone believes in them or not. The same way as about physical laws, whether somebody believes there is gravity or not, gravity is still going to affect everybody. So these are laws which the principles, we must learn them thoroughly, the key principles. Second is learning the tools. Now, how to use these laws to enhance and change my life. And then have a very, very disciplined practice. And the third is that work not only on your spiritual growth, work on your worldly goals also at the same time. That we are born to experience this life in a material way and in a spiritual way. And if possible, to help your growth, do selfless service. Help others. Because one of the principles of Brhamanda Yoga is that if you help somebody achieve what they want in their life, this universe will come and help you achieve what you want in your life. So do seva, service, without any motive or any expectation in return. If you can follow these principles of the pillars, your growth is certain. This is not an experimental form that it will work on 60% people, 40% people may not benefit. It's not. 100% of the people who follow these pillars or these guidances benefit 100%. Each and every person who follows it will work. Like a law of physics. You take a battery, you take a bulb, you take 2 wires, 10,000 people may connect it, and each time the bulb will light up. Unless it's being done wrong, either the battery is dead, the bulb is broken, or there's a break in the wire, those are the snags. But if everything is correct, if you follow these rules, no matter how many times, And no matter how many people, it'll work 100% of the time.